rainbow of Dr. Lenora Fulani. She's the only black. She's the only independent. She's the only progressive. She's the first woman in American history to be on the ballot as an independent in all 50 states. She's the first black woman ever in U.S. history to receive federal primary matching funds, and we are very proud to say that we have raised over $1.5 million with your help, and it's going to be matched by the federal government, whether Ronald Reagan likes it or not. We got a movement. It's an independent rainbow. We can't take it to the Democratic Party because we got in the Democratic Party a Mr. Mike Dukakis, and we got a Mr. Benson. I mean, how many of you know Benson? Raise your hand. How many of you ever heard of the Benson from Texas before his vice president? Hey, I don't see no hands. Don't y'all know this guy? No one knows him. I don't know him myself. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm politically astute, you know? But I'm just going to say who he is. He's a rich oil baron from Texas. He has nothing to do with our movement. He never has. In fact, in his record in the Senate of the United States, he has voted against every progressive move that we tried to make. Now, most recently, he has voted for Contra aid to Nicaragua. And we're not going to stand for the Nicaraguan people being fucked over by the United States government. We don't want no more aid for the Contra, and we don't need no vice presidential candidate that's going to stand up and say, hey, on a Democrat, this is a people's struggle, and we believe that we have to have a people's culture, and here we're going with.
That's not a flag. Hey, I see. I know it.
We got a progressive band based from Atlanta, standing up with the independent rainbow, the New Hope Baptist Church, Grace Smith, saxophone. Give them a hand now. Come on, let's talk about it. Joseph Morrison, keyboard, Harold Washington, bass guitar.
And the Democratic Party bosses, or hacks, whichever you prefer, would like us to believe that the selection of Lloyd Benson, a businessman senator, for the #2 spot on the ticket was just business as usual, an attempt to balance the ticket. Hard-nosed politics that, you know, we the people sometimes can't understand. They say that this insult is nothing for Reverend Jackson to get excited about. He's just being a sore loser. Even a black editorial writer for the Atlanta Journal and Constitution said that Jesse Jackson should accept defeat graciously. But what is gracious about having our people attacked and our movement undermined? What is gracious about having our leaders humiliated and our people made fun of? What is gracious about the selection of a Lloyd Benson? This Benson, a solid right-winger, by the way, who defeated George Bush in a 1970 Texas Senate race because he was more conservative than the Reaganite Bush, was no run-of-the-mill choice by the Democratic Party. In fact, one of the points that I've been making to the press this week is that George Bush doesn't have to go to the trouble of trying to choose a vice presidential candidate. Lloyd is so conservative, he and Mike can just share one vice president. You see, this Mr. Benson was put on the ticket to deliver a message on behalf of the insiders in the innermost circles of that white supremacist Democratic Party to us. A message to the African American people and to our progressive allies. It's a very clear message. It says, no matter how well you do, Jesse, no matter how carefully you play by the rules, there is no room in this party of big business for you and your people to have any influence whatsoever. Did we hear that message? No, sisters and brothers. The choice of this pro-Contra land baron, Benson, was not just any selection. It was not even the standard personal insult that rival politicians take macho pleasure in handing out to losers. It was a calculated insult. To Brother Jesse Jackson, to our people, to all of us, don't forget this was the year that the greatest number of votes by far went to the left-center coalition represented by Jackson and Dukakis. But the party ticket selected by the white corporate supremacists who control both the Republican and the Democratic parties went to the center-right coalition of Dukakis and Benson. We did not choose that ticket. The Democratic Party bosses gave it to us. By the Democratic Party super rich, super white, super male, and super straight super delegates. A statement which is another attack in the war of the Democratic Party bosses against the alliance of African Americans and progressives who supported Reverend Jackson in the Democratic Party primaries. A very dangerous alliance from the point of view of the powers that be, who are heavily invested in keeping things under control in a time of mounting social and economic crisis. Reverend Jackson prides himself on having brought tens of thousands of black voters into the political process, many of them for the first time in 1984. This year, even more African Americans voted in the primaries. With Jesse, our people and other excluded peoples felt that they finally had a reason and not just the right to vote. You know what it means to have a reason to vote in this country? That's when people died in the streets of Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia. That's what they were dying for. Not just the right to vote, but a reason to vote. The white supremacist Democratic Party went us one better. While Jesse was bringing out the rainbow vote, they were bringing out the racist vote. Despite the fact that many more black people voted in 1988 than in 1984, that was Jackson's game plan. The black-white ratio stayed the same. Indeed, in New York this year, the black vote made up a smaller percentage of the total vote than they did in 1984. This is something the Jackson forces did not count on, but that's how the racist Democratic Party works. That's how the party of big business is so constructed to retain political power in the hands of white corporate America.